Snippet. What was interesting about the musical aspect for me too was that it was kind of a postmodern musical. And what I mean by that is that it was kind of tongue-in-cheek about it being a musical. It was kind of like, oh, we're going to sing now. You know what I mean? It was like we acknowledge the fact that we're going to break out in song.
Well then, young man, allow me to refresh your memory in the form of a song so ruinously catchy that it may never leave your mind.
Oh, I don't think I want to hear that.
Too late. I've started dancing now. Once we've started, we can't stop, see? Oompa, loompa, doompa-dee-doo.
My favorite moment was when Hugh Grant, which I think did the Oompa Loompa really well.
Yeah,
I think it was a lot of fun as the Oompa Loompa. He all of a sudden says, okay, now I'm going to tell you in verse and song, which is probably going to get stuck in your head. And he's just, and he starts singing the Oompa Loompa song, which of course gets stuck in your head, which I thought that was a nice touch.
It was very clever.
Yeah.
And then I have to admit, I am one of the shortest in my clan.
Right, yeah, exactly. Yeah. But what was interesting is something that, because I hadn't watched any trailers. I think I'd seen something somewhere that it was coming out. It wasn't necessarily that I had seen any advertisements for it. And you said, oh, I want to go take the kids to see this.
Yeah.
And I remember we walking out and you said something interesting. You said, it wasn't as funny as you thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
So can you unpack that a little bit? Talk about that a little bit.
Well, because I don't know. I think watching the trailers and things, I think that they put some more of the funny moments in there.
Yeah.
And then I do think that watching the original film, that you would laugh at different times. And so this one had a much more dramatic component to it. And so it wasn't bad. That wasn't like something I walked away and go, oh my gosh, they totally ruined it. It was just like my expectations were a little bit different. So I don't know. I think that I wanted to hear your take on the overall story and the storytelling components, because, that's something where you and I watched it. We enjoyed it. The kids watched it. They enjoyed it. I would take the kids to go see this film, but we usually break down what worked, what didn't work, why did it work, and all that kind of stuff. So you were talking about Timothy Chalamet's character, who was Wonka in this film, was pretty static.
Typically people don't identify with a character who's a static character, right? So like a static character would be like Gandalf in The Lord of the Rings. It's kind of a very or Obi-Wan Kenobi in and I'm thinking more of like a mentor character. Those are very typically kind of your static. They're the wizened old people that have already been through life and aren't going to change much.
Right.
Right. And so they're there to provide wisdom to the person who is
going through
the protagonist, right? So like,
–
for example, Frodo.
Yeah.
Right. So Frodo, we definitely see him change and mature through The Lord of the Rings. Same thing with Luke Skywalker, right? So you see this dynamic kind of arc that happens. And what's interesting about Wonka is that Wonka doesn't change much. He's fairly static in his approach to life. He might have had a down moment or a little kind of dark moment, but he was kind of forced into that position, making good decisions that affected his the people that he was with, and sacrificing his own